I don't know about you, but in the culture we live in, evangelism can feel particularly hard because people seem to be starting from so far back. It's not so much that they need convincing of the evidence, it's more they need persuading that the evidence is even worth listening to in the first place. And all of that can make our evangelistic conversations feel really difficult. You know, we either break out in a cold sweat at the thought of trying to crowbar the message of the cross into a conversation, or we feel guilty at having failed to do so. I read a great book recently. It's called Tactics by Greg Koukl. And in it, he talks about having a modest goal in our evangelism. What does he mean by that? Well, for instance, you know, when trying to engage a work colleague or a neighbour with the gospel, whilst our ultimate aim is, of course, to see them won to Christ, actually in that particular conversation, maybe we need to have a more modest goal, taking smaller steps in helping that person in their journey of discovering who Jesus is. It's a bit like scoring a century in cricket. You know, a batsman never walks to the crease and scores 100 in one delivery. It takes time and patience. There's a single here, there's a boundary there. It's small steps, modest goals. You know, the target is always a big innings, of course, but there are modest goals along the way. Same kind of thing in our evangelism, particularly, I think, in our culture where people, as we've said, are so far back. Our desire is, of course, that people are won to Christ, but there are modest goals along the way. Okay, now how do we do that in our everyday evangelism? Koukl's got this great little phrase. He talks about putting a stone in people's shoes. Let me read what he writes. I encourage you to consider the strategy I use when God opens a door of opportunity for me. I pray quickly for wisdom, then I ask myself this: what one thing can I say in this circumstance? What one question can I ask? What seed can I plant that will get the other person thinking? Then I simply try to put a stone in the person's shoe. Can you see what he's saying? In the fleeting conversations that we have with people at work, at the school gate, over the garden fence, what thing can we say? What one question can we ask which will just get them thinking, which will act like a little stone in their shoe, niggling away until we can carry on the conversation and develop it the next time we see each other? So we're not giving a full-blown gospel presentation. We're not necessarily taking people to the cross in every encounter. We're just putting a stone in their shoe. We're giving them something to think about, which will provoke further and deeper conversation further down the track. Okay, so as you chat with people this week, have a think. What one thing can you say in conversation which just puts a stone in their shoe? That's a modest goal. That's small steps in helping people to see something better. And the obvious response to that is, well, what does that look like in practice? And the key thing, I think, is asking questions. More on that next time.